Hey everybody, Hogan Brown here with Loon Outdoors. Today I'm going to show you my variation of an incredibly famous, incredibly effective Northern California pattern, Heart's Dark Lord. I call it the CDC Dark Lord. Pretty simple, straightforward. Make it as complicated or as simple as you want. It's a great guide fly. We're going to tie it on a jig hook with an Insta-Jig Euro style. For this variation of the Dark Lord, we're going to use the 555 Eric's jig hook. This is a 14. Obviously, you can tie it in any number of sizes, but I like this for a lot of my nymphing. I like this to be the bigger of the flies, though on occasion I will make the Dark Lord the smaller of the flies in my rig. But for instructional purposes, we're going to use the bigger. Gonna use a hairline Insta-Jig in copper, okay, but you can use gold, black. This is one of the bigger ones that you would want to put on this. Take that, thread it on, pop it on. Okay. Now I'm going to use some 8/0 black. This is just Vivus, but black thread. Tie it. Work it down to the back of the hook shank. And this is just a good big, black attractor. Tail for this, going to use black goose biots. Take two. Now when I take these, I look at the natural curvature of it, and I want that curvature to curve away from the hook shank. And I like to put my goose biots on the side of the hook shank. That natural curvature kind of comes out off that. A lot of times people use a dubbing ball to like split them, but I think if you just kind of use that natural curvature, you're going to get the same effect. Tack it down to keep that hook shank diameter the same. Take the other one, again, natural curvature. I'm going to want it to curve away. And I'll always start up here, just minimize, kind of even them out. Okay, and you can kind of look. I mean, let's be real, no one's perfect at this, but we're going to try to get it pretty close. Then tack it to the side of the hook shank. And there you go, you get that natural split. Okay. And let's be real, that can work for really any fly that's going to use these biots. That's how I do it. That doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but that's how I do it. Next, I'm going to tie in a small piece of copper wire as a rib. All the way to the back. Then take a piece of turkey tail. Cut piece off. About normal wing case size, but this is actually going to be a casing on the back of the fly. Tie that in. And again, I'm tying all these materials all the way up the hook shank. It's going to kind of keep that hook shank at the same diameter, which is going to be easier to build the proportion of that fly off of. Tack it all in. Now at this point, I'm going to use some Arizona semi-seal. This is black peacock. Now you look at this, and this is big, buggy dubbing. I've used this before, probably in some videos for dubbing loops. This is really buggy, stiff Angora-based dubbing. And you wouldn't think for a small nymph that you don't really want to be big and buggy to do that. But what I like is I'm going to take a little loose clump, okay? And what I like about this stuff is with these long fibers, if you get a nice tight spin on the thread, you can see there's no lumps. It's very uniform and trim. So while we think of it as being a very buggy dubbing, when you spin it on thread to build a smaller fly, you get a nice, very uniform spin. You don't get these clumps and uneven spots that you may get with a shorter or softer type of dub. And you'll get a couple little long fibers that will always stick out and give it just a bit of bugginess. And you can tell it's like beautifully tapers, okay? Now, if you get a little bit of fibers, you can cut them off if you want, or I personally like to kind of leave them. And this is the Dark Lord variant that we're doing, is going to be the same proportions as, you know, Prince Nymph or any of that. So we taper it up to that head. There you go. Okay. Now at that point, pull the top over, pry it off right behind the bead. Trim it, set that aside, you use it again. And then palmer that copper wire, securing it all in. Okay. Now, at this point, you could throw some mallard flank legs on the side, call it good. What I've started doing on these is taking a singular CDC feather. This is dark dun, okay? And basically tying it in at the tip, okay? Taking our hackle pliers, because these are shorter feathers, and palmering this around. Nice CDC collar is essentially what we're going to do. Come in, tie it off, right in behind. Now I keep those hackle pliers on there and I come in and I cut that stalk. Okay, now at this point, the cleanup of this is I pull all of that back and tack it back with a few thread wraps. Okay, now at this point, you can pinch it if you want, you can leave it, you can thin it out, you can do whatever it is your heart desires. You can even, if you want, I'll show you, I'll do it just for the sake of illustration, is give it a little bit, a couple mallard flank fibers on the side, okay, and I'm talking just a few, just to kind of break up the collar. If you want to give that. Set them right on the side, pin them, tie them in. Go. All right, last step. And again, feel free to subtract or add any of these steps. I'm going to give it nice. These are kind of amberish, but lighter wings. Okay, this is what makes it kind of the Dark Lord, is the color and the amber wings, kind of an amber wing prince, you know, if you want to think of it that way. And I use that natural curvature. I want that curvature down this time, and just set it right on top. Give it one wrap, kind of go, okay, that looks good. Tighten it in there. Take the next one, kind of cross it where you think it should be. Set Set it right next to it. It's going to set a little nicer with these. There you go. Okay. You can kind of see how I have that set right next to each other. Give it a couple wraps, shove everything in there. Take those precision tip scissors, get in there, trim them. Okay. And then wrap right there and tie it off. And that is a Jigged CDC Dark Lord, kind of a variation on a very classic NorCal Ron Hart pattern.